Will they debate? Dr. Mehmet Oz has publicly stated that he wants to debate PA Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman.
And democracy is built on us asking difficult questions of each other.
Even if Fetterman is making a full recovery and is campaigning throughout Pennsylvania and giving public speeches like this one,
Washington, D.C. to send so I can work with Senator Casey and I can champion the union way of life in D.C.
it brings up more questions. If Fetterman is campaigning, why the delays in debating Dr. Oz? His campaign claims they're looking for a network to air it. Find that hard to believe. No respectable network would turn down that offer. Oh, wait, this is mainstream media we're talking about. Here are key points made by Karl Rove and Fox News.
Republican Pennsylvania Senate candidate Dr. Mehmet Oz criticizing his Democratic opponent, John Fetterman, for refusing to debate him. A Pittsburgh newspaper op-ed says there are, quote, legitimate concerns about Fetterman's health. Senior national correspondent Rich Edson is live in Washington. And Rich, when that editorial came out yesterday, it opened a lot of eyes.
Yeah, it really did, Dana. You know, this is one of the most contentious Senate races in the country. It's a seat Republicans likely need to hold to take control of the Senate in November's midterms. Polls show a tightening race between Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, a Democrat, and Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz. Fetterman had a stroke in May and has avoided debates. Oz and his campaign have ripped Fetterman for refusing to debate.
His campaign says he's doing fine, and he said that as well. And yet he doesn't debate. I can only assume because he wants to avoid answering for some of the far-left radical comments that he has made. But if he is sick, right, then he's been lying to us as well. So either way, this is really not about health. It's about honor and integrity and honesty.
Republican Senator Pat Toomey is retiring. This race is to fill his seat. Toomey says if Fetterman is not up to debate, he's not up for the job of serving in the U.S. Senate. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette editorial board wrote there are legitimate concerns about Fetterman's health, while also saying Oz's campaign is pressing the issue in an adolescent manner. The Wall Street Journal adds, quote, stroke recoveries can take time, and voters understand that if Mr. Fetterman can campaign around the state and speak at rallies, he can participate in a debate. Fetterman has been out on the campaign trail.
Send me to Washington, D.C. to send so I can work with Senator Casey and I can champion the union way of life in D.C.
His campaign says anyone who's seen John speak knows that while he's still recovering, he's more capable of fighting for PA than Dr. Oz will ever be. And anyone who's seen Dr. Oz speak knows he's a complete fraud. This is about mocking John for having a stroke because they've got nothing else. Fetterman's campaign also says he's open to debating Oz, and they're speaking with networks about that. Dana.
We'll see what happens. Thank you so much. Well, let's bring in Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Fox News contributor. Karl, one of the issues is obviously Fetterman's health. Here's another way that Dr. Oz talked about it last night. Call 4-2.
I think he's insulting the voters of Pennsylvania by dodging the debate. He's dodging their questions. He's dodging questions from the press. His campaign says he's doing fine, and he said that as well. And yet he doesn't debate. I can only assume because he wants to avoid answering for some of the far-left radical comments that he has made.
There was some controversy before when the health issue first came up, criticizing Dr. Oz for bringing it up. But now you have the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette also saying something similar, Karl.
Absolutely. And look, anybody who saw the first campaign appearance that the lieutenant governor made in Erie, Pennsylvania, following his weeks off of the campaign trail after his stroke, would have questions about him. I mean, he faltered. He couldn't put sentences together. It was very awkward. It was painful to watch. He, even today, 4 months after the stroke, continues to display problems of being able to speak coherently and to even ascertain what's going on around him. He had a an appearance in which the comments of the people in the meeting with him had to be put on closed caption for him to be able to read, because he had problems processing what they were saying. So, look, he hasn't shot straight with people. It turned out he had a precondition, a serious precondition that put him at risk for this. He misled people about the nature of the stroke, that it was just a minor one. He's now today saying that he is willing to debate, and he's in conversations with networks about it, but yet he has yet to accept a single debate. And my suspicion is we're not likely to see him debate. And as Senator Toomey said, if you're going to go to the Senate, you got to be able to speak, to argue, to contemplate, to hear, and discuss. And he's not in that place right now.
A couple of things here. You mentioned a lot there, Carl. Newt Gingrich is talking about his energy policy, suggesting it could cost 600,000 jobs in Pennsylvania. And maybe that's a reason as to why he doesn't want to go head-to-head on the issues. That's the point you're making. On Toomey, Pat Toomey is a pretty moderate senator, right? And he said, I have my doubts whether or not Fetterman's up to the job. And then you got Rich Lowry writing that Fetterman should have to show and not tell. Very effective line. And now Dr. Oz comes out with this ad today. Now, Fetterman was a small-town mayor. I guess you could argue that's how he began his political career. Small town southeast of Pittsburgh. I think the population is like 1,200. Maybe it's 1,700, but it's not more than 2,000. And apparently there was an incident while he was mayor where he had a shotgun in the yard or on the street, and he was chasing down an African-American man. Well, Oz is jumping on the issue now, and here is part of the ad that's out as of now.
I mean, there's a mayor with a shotgun and 6 other cops surrounded me. What else can I do but this?
I believe I did the right thing, but I may have broken the law during the course of it.
John Fetterman, reckless, risky, wrong for Pennsylvania.
So you got it out there. I believe I did the right thing, but I may have broken the law. Those are his words from several years ago. How does all this mix in this stew right now when our poll in late July showed Oz trailing by double digits?
Well, the race is tightened, as your reporter pointed out. Public polling shows the race a lot closer than that, and that's primarily because Dr. Oz came through a bitter primary and the Republicans were divided. Now they're starting to unite behind him. A lot of people in Pennsylvania know about this incident. The then mayor saw a black man on the street, thought that he was engaged in some kind of nefarious activity, went and got his shotgun and chased him down. Turned out the guy was not involved in any nefarious activity. And Fetterman was widely criticized at the time. This is fine. We'll bring that back up. Remind people that he has bad judgment, that he's reckless. But you put your finger on it. Here's a guy who's against fracking. Most people don't understand. Pennsylvania is one of the great producers of natural gas because of the fracking revolution. One of the great reasons why America had a moment of energy independence. And Fetterman is opposed to fracking. Here's a guy who said, one of my colleagues said that we could get rid of a third of the people in state prisons, let them out, and it wouldn't affect the safety of our community. And, quote, this is a profound idea that he supported. He believes in the abolition of private health insurance and the Green New Deal. Go on and on. Every liberal progressive nostrum that is out there, Fetterman's in favor of. And to the degree that Dr. Oz is able to get a sharp distinction between his views and values and those of Fetterman's, the better his chances for winning this swingy state of Pennsylvania.
Final. Do they debate or not? Does it happen or not in the next 60 days?
I think Fetterman tries to avoid it at all costs, and it'll hurt him. He's better to go into a debate where they've got some control on how, short questions, short answers, not a lot of dialogue between them. But he's going to try and avoid it at any way he can, and I think it's going to be problematic for him.
I think so too. Carl Rubb, always good to see you. Thank you so much.
You bet. Great to see the two.